The little girl waits for Santa Claus on Christmas Eve, and she tries waking her brother up when she hears something from the living room. He's fast asleep, so the girl sneaks in to find Santa enjoying the treats. She jumps out in excitement on seeing him. The boy wakes up hearing this and welcomes Santa home, calling him Dad. Oh yes, Santa's come home after delivering the presents, and soon Mrs. Claus comes down to welcome him. Santa gives his kids Nick and Noel the final presents, and Nick receives a hat just like Santa's. Santa congratulates his son Nick and announces that it is time for his Santa training to begin. Nick wears the hat, but it's too big for him. Santa says that it will fit him when he fits it. As the elves come to greet them, Elf Polly comes in with jackets since it's cold. As they head out, Noel questions Santa. Since his brother will be the next Santa, what will she be? Questioned further, Noel answers that she wants to do what Santa does and contribute to do something important. Santa assures her that she already does and asks her to keep creating her cards and spread the Christmas cheer and help support her brother. Yes, that's all she got from Dad, so she goes into acceptance and promises Santa that she will. Fast forward a decade later, Santa has passed away, and it is now the time for Nick, the 23rd Kringle, to be Santa Claus for children all around the world. Nick practices riding the sleigh in the North Pole every day. Mrs. Claus organizes a team to help him improve his Santa skills, and cousin Gabe heads the tech team and installs apps to Santa's sleigh. When Noelle comes back after shopping, she finds Nick on the sofa, and Santa's helpers sing that Nick hit another chimney during his training that day. Mrs. Claus starts freaking out to Noelle, since Nick's training is not going well, and asks Noelle to do her job and spread the Christmas cheer. Later that night, Noelle uses the Book of Santa to help Nick with his training. Noelle runs him through the steps mentioned in the book, and finally, she pushes him down the chimney and Nick falls to the ground. The next morning, Nick vents out to Noelle that it's all been getting to him, and he often dreams of a warm place where he can stretch and relax. So, Noelle advises him to take a week off so that people won't have a troubled Santa for Christmas. She brings up how their dad used to bring her magazines from the outer world and asks him to take one and pick a place and then just go for the weekend and bring her back some magazines. That night, Gabe visits their home and mentions that he wanted to install some new tech on the sleigh. Mrs. Claus mentions that Nick might have taken it for practice, but Gabe continues to say that only the sleigh came back and Santa is missing. They find some magazines on the sleigh, and as they start freaking out, Noelle understands that it's all because of her. She explains that she might have suggested for him to take the weekend off. Soon, the people of North Pole gather to discuss the issue. The elder elves announce that for the first time in 2,000 years, Santa has disappeared, and it is totally because of Noelle. The elf elder suggests that since they only have a week before Christmas, they appoint a new Santa, but Noelle requests for rescue mission since Nick might have fallen from the sleigh somewhere. Since no one has stepped into the outside world, they are not ready for it, and immediately proceed to appoint Gabe as the new Santa. He totally loves it in the tech department, but the elder elves proceed to crown Gabe as the new Santa. Everyone is shocked, and Mrs. Claus questions why she talked Nick into running away. She mentions that she only suggested him taking the weekend off but never thought he would leave. In the following day, everyone treat her differently, and even her Kringle discount is cancelled since she is now not a direct family member of Santa. Later, she finds a page torn from her travel magazine and finds that the page is about Phoenix, Arizona. Immediately, she gets ready and takes the sleigh out, and Elf Polly catches her in action. But Noelle asks Elf Polly to tag along to help her find Santa. Elf Polly is against it, and as they fight on the sleigh, Noelle accidentally gives the signal, and reindeers start running. Even the little white reindeer tries to follow them, but it needs more training, so it stays back. Noelle uses the app on the sleigh to set the destination to Arizona, and the reindeer soon run all the way and somehow land in a marketplace in Phoenix, Arizona. The security come to greet them, and back in North Pole, Mrs. Claus questions Gabe on how he's planning to have Christmas without the reindeer and the sleigh. But Gabe mentions that this is a great opportunity for them to start an online delivery service. Mrs. Claus mentions that the tradition cannot be changed, and we come back to Phoenix where the manager of the marketplace, Helen, meets Noelle and Elf Polly. Noelle shows her a photo of Noelle and Nick in the Santa costume. Helen wants to send them out, but since the customers pour in to see the reindeer, she lets them stay. Soon, Noelle heads out in search of Nick, and Elf Polly decides to stay back and look after the reindeer. She goes around the city and sees a bunch of guys not wearing pants in Santa costumes. She then comes across a sign of private investigator Jake Hapman and gives him a visit. She mentions that she is looking for her brother after he ran away, not able to manage the stress of taking over their father's business. Jake asks her to pay up front, and she hands him a bunch of chocolate wrapped in gold. Noel follows him out as he rushes, since his phone died and he wants to contact his son. Noel gets all tingly and asks a guy for his phone and he helps. Somehow the Christmas tingle works out and Jake gets the picture from her and asks her to come back the next morning. Back in North Pole, Gabe announces the launch of his new app Falala to check whether a kid is naughty or nice. Gabe gathers everyone and announces that according to his calculations, there are only 2,837 nice children in the whole world. Everyone is shocked to hear this, and Mrs. Claus states that he cannot decide like that. Gabe goes on to say that everyone else will be receiving an evaluation notice and ask them to be nicer next year. Noel visits Jake the next morning and meets his son Alex. They leave to find Nick at shelters. Noel meets Michelle, who is deaf and communicates with her through sign even though she doesn't know how. Jake questions her how she knows about it, and Noel mentions that she feels really hot. So Jake takes her to the store and Noel stays inside the cooler. She spends some time with Alex and learns that Alex knows a lot more about cooking than Jake, and as she asks Alex what he wants for Christmas, Jake comes in saying that he found Nick taking yoga classes. Noel soon discovers Nick and he too is happy on seeing her. Nick says that he likes it here and not wants to go back. Noel tries talking him into going back, but Nick doesn't want to, so Noel heads out after blowing out a candle. In the marketplace, Noel and Polly come across Jake and Alex. Jake learns about Nick from Noel, and sometime later, the little white reindeer comes running with a letter from Mrs. Claus. The letter informs them about Gabe's decision to use drones to deliver presents to only 2,837 children in the whole world. Noel runs back to find Nick, but he has closed the studio and left somewhere. She takes the reindeer to sniff out where Nick is, and they soon board a bus to yoga retreat. They find Nick in the middle of silent meditation. Nick makes it clear that he doesn't want to go, and Noel leaves after giving him the letter from Mrs. Claus. Nick understands and comes back with her to the marketplace. Elf Polly is happy to see him, but Nick makes it clear that he doesn't want a Santa. Noel asks him to try one more time and asks Nick to fill in for a Santa and talk with the kids, hoping that might help him get his tingle. They dress up in their official costumes, and Noel kind of pushes him into this whole thing. The first kid is from India and speaks in Hindi. Nick doesn't understand, but Noel gets a tingle and gets what the kid says correctly. She also talks back to the next kid who seems to be a naughty one, and as the kid leaves, Noel sees Jake and walks out for a second, leaving Nick alone. The kids in line show Nick that they got a message from Santa stating they won't be receiving any gifts that year. Jake is unhappy that Noel promised Alex that he would spend time with his ex-wife this Christmas. Noel comes out and tells Jake the whole truth about her family and why she is here. Jake thinks she has gone crazy and leaves. She tries to go after him, but Nick gets in trouble for filling in for the guy who's here to work as Santa. She accidentally kicks a cop and gets arrested. Nick tries to talk to the police to let Noel out, but they insist on getting her see a psychiatrist, and only then they will decide whether to release her. Nick points out that it's Christmas Eve and they need to leave, but he is told off. Back in the North Pole, things are chaotic since Gabe still wants to use drones installed with GPS coordinates to deliver all 2,837 gifts, and Noel watches the news mentioning that kids all around receiving emails on how they won't be receiving any presents this Christmas. At this time, Jake presents Alex a kid chef book and asks Alex about him, telling Noel, wanting him to go home, but Alex refuses of doing so. At this time, Elf Polly comes to visit them, and she learns that even though Noel told him the truth, he doesn't believe it. Elf Polly even shows him her elf ears, but Jake thinks it's fake. Listening to Elf Polly's words, Jake offers to help and Elf Polly asks him get Noel out and she will take care of the rest. Noel is currently in a session with a psychiatrist and she's telling her the truth. Jake comes and asks for Noel and tells her Elf Polly came to see him. At this time, Nick and Elf Polly bring the sleigh, and Noel jumps out on the sleigh and they leave for North Pole. Everyone cheers on seeing Nick back, and he understands that everyone wants him to be Santa and what that position needs. He brings out the fact that Noel should be the next Santa. Noel doesn't like that idea, even though she might have her dad's twinkle. Everyone thinks the same too, but Elder Elf jumps in and rejects their tradition that only a man should be Santa. He asks Noel what she really thought about Christmas. She starts speaking about all the nice people she met back in Phoenix, and there are more people like them all around the world. Everyone tears up listening to her speech, and the Christmas cheer is back in the North Pole. She practices before wearing her dad's suit, and clearly it is too big for her. Mrs. Claus says that it will fit her when she fits it. She is worried that kids might see her and go, "You are not Santa." Elf Polly tries cheering her up, and Noel gets ready ready to leave. She calls the little white reindeer to join the others, and they launch away. Noelle makes her first stop in Paris, but the kid wakes up shouting she is not Santa. This troubles her, and she struggles when she goes around delivering presents. Noelle makes her final stop at Phoenix, and she visits the shelter where she met Michelle. She steps on a toy, and that wakes everyone up. Before Noelle starts to worry, Michelle wishes her a Merry Christmas, and the others in the shelter join in wishing Santa a Merry Christmas. As Noelle heads out, the joy of being recognized as Santa activates her tingle, and the suit shrinks to fit her. Santa now goes around the world happily delivering gifts. Noelle remembers her promise to Alex, so she takes Jake on the sleigh to drop him at his ex-wife's place. She flies away shouting out Merry Christmas, ho ho ho. Following this, Jake meets Alex and his ex-wife, manager Helen receives tickets for her vacation, and Noelle mentions that she left an iPad for Michelle and a job listing at a school for her mom. Back in the North Pole, Noelle lets Nick open the first yoga studio and appoints elf Polly as the first female elder elf. She provides Gabe with the problems she faced when delivering presents, and finally, she sticks the thank you letters for Santa. Noelle states that it brings her more joy in handing out presents rather than receiving them. Comment down below what you got for this Christmas, and I'll see you again with another story like this. Until then, this is your host from Movie Movie Recaps signing off.